Welcome to the Alive Loren podcast. This is the place of celebrating juicy, soulful living. It used to be the place of once a week on a Monday, celebrating business as a force for good. But at the moment, I'm losing a bit of traction and momentum on that one. If you would like to get some of those, when I first started this podcast, I did like one a day for more than 90 days. So there's heaps of great celebration of conscious businesses that have people and planet as part of their DNA. And the rest of the time, the idea is to pop on with some sharing musings, always a 10-minute burst of inspiration and feel-goodness. And a good place to follow is Alive Loren on Instagram. Also very much a work in progress. But a big thing about this podcast has been about imperfect action being better than perfect inaction. So very rough around the edges. And looking for the beauty in the mundane, I'm walking down this path and there's a little piece of wood that looks like a little smiley face. It's got two eyes and a little smile, and just that is one of the things of celebrating and being present to the moments. So today is more like a share. Micky Singer's work has been so profoundly significant to me recently, and sometimes he says things. I listened to like an audio, a talk of his, and you know when like a gong sounds, like he'll say a few words that are like a gong sounding, a gong, but like my heart, my soul's been like hit, and it's resonating and it's vibrating on these few words. And sometimes they're the simplest words. And recently he spoke about being grateful for the experience of the experience, no matter what it is. So it's actually being grateful for the opportunity to experience that while we're in a body here on this planet in space and time, we get to experience. So even if it's heartbreak or disappointment or frustration, which aren't as juicy and delicious from some respects, compared to joy and ecstasy and elation and excitement and anticipation and enthusiasm, but they nonetheless are experiences. And in a way, I just think it's so beautiful to see them as like we each have we're creating the canvas of our lives. And we have this selection of paints, and it's like if our paints, our emotional experiences are like our scope of colors that we create the canvas of our life from. And who would want to just, you look at beautiful artwork and there's extremes, and it's in extremes that you come see contrast and things. So to see a beauty and opportunity to experience the frustrating emotions and greet them and honor them, and the deep ones and the sad ones and the heart-wrenching ones, because it's like you actually get to experience grief and heartbreak. And yes, it's intense and it's maybe not pleasant, but it's beautiful because it's an experience that when we're not in our bodies, we're not going to be able to have. So to celebrate the experience of the experience. And then he said, and then nothing can go wrong if you haven't defined what's right. And Micky also has this idea of working with the small things in our days, in our lives, using our life to come to more spirituality and to God and whatever God's source and is for you, the divine, and to use the things that set us off in daily life. And I had such a wonderful opportunity to kind of experience this today, where I currently am in Israel and need to convert my driver's license. And my South African one was valid for 5 years, which is the requirement, but it expired the same month that we arrived here. Now, if you do the conversion within 5 years and you've got a license that shows 5 years validity, you're supposed to just be able to convert it. So I just thought, okay, that's fine, as long as I do it within 5 years, but the proviso is it has to be within the 5 years that the license is still current. So if I would have gone probably within the month or two of arriving, even though it had been expired, they probably would have made an exception. So I witnessed my preference today, and almost leaning into defining what would be the right outcome of today's visit was that I would go and they would give me my converted license. So then things can go wrong because I'm defining what's right. So instead today, I thought, let me just witness my preference and let me go in with no definition. So whatever happens is right. So if they don't give it to me, it's right because perhaps for some reason I'm meant to learn the Israeli traffic signs, and maybe I'm supposed to have a greater awareness or the experience that with the one thing is normally you're supposed to have like 28 driving lessons, which is a lot of time and a lot of money, and they said they will enter in the computer that I don't need the 28 lessons. They did assure me that I don't need a document to prove it. They've put it in the computer, so hopefully, and apparently all the driving teachers can go look in the computer and this note will be there. So just going on that, trust and faith, and trusting that to come out, and by not defining, come out and say, yes, my application got denied. Yes, I get to study for and write the Israeli learner's license kind of equivalent. And yes, I get to meet a driving teacher and go for a few lessons to celebrate the opportunity to experience the experience of the experience no matter what it is. So now to be grateful for the experience of learning, of writing that test, thank God, is available in English, and then having a few lessons and doing a test, and maybe that's good. It's good for me to be familiar. The roads here are different, the systems are different, and that it's all perfect, and it's meant to be. And if it was meant to be any different, it would have. If I was meant to go there and I deal with people who would make an exception for me, they would have. And to celebrate which way it turns out. So that is my share for today. It is a quick burst of just was really, really grateful for this experience and the opportunity to apply it, and just trusting that who knows, the interactions is reasons. I'm meant to see the person and experience all of it and have all their interactions along the way with the people that make all of this possible. And yeah, just to celebrate the experience, be grateful for the experience of the experience no matter what it is, and to just be aware of how many things, like nothing can go wrong if you haven't defined what's right. So on this glorious, very brief, quick burst of a note, I'm going to leave and love you fine folks, because God, I've lost momentum on these podcasts. I have quite a lot. There's like so many hours in a day and working out how to spend them and where to allocate them. So at the moment, I think until I kind of figure out a way to generate the income, or maybe not figure out the way, just to trust that everything is it's meant to be. If for whatever reason right now the time is being allocated to other things, that's the way it's meant to be. And if I was meant to be allocating more time to creating the podcast and celebrating conscious business, then it would. Not to say that I'm not taking an active part. It's very interesting because it's not about not taking an active part. It's about showing up fully to what is showing up in front of me, trusting that my job is to bring my fullest self and fullest effort based on where I'm at and my honest capacity to each and every moment. So on this note, I'm going to leave and love you fine folks.